Good evening, everyone. We are back with another episode of Fireflies Forever. Um, I am going to do my best to have my voice hold up, but I cannot make any promises. So I've had quite a few meetings the last couple days and lots of added work. So yeah, I've been using my voice a lot. Um, but welcome in everyone in chat. We thank you for being here. And then obviously I want to introduce the guys on the screen. We got Joe. Joe, what's up, man? How you doing?
I'm doing awesome, man. Thank you for asking. Yeah, man. Stop working yourself so hard, though. Yeah, I mean, it's
Right.
it's yeah, that can't be helped. But yeah, no, I'm glad to be here. Can't wait to talk about obviously what happened last night and what we think is going to happen in the future. So yeah, thanks for asking.
Yeah, no problem, man. And Deanna saying slightly overused smooth sounds of Jet. LOL. Chris, what's up, man? How are you?
I'm doing good. My daughters are up visiting me from Florida right now, so it's awesome to get to see them.
Yeah, good, man. Good. I know I know it's good. I know it has to feel good for
Oh
you.
yeah.
And I'm sure that they're loving it too. So really, really happy that you guys are getting to spend that time. And everyone in chat, like I said, welcome to all of you. We greatly appreciate you being here. And before I forget, because I definitely will, especially this week, if you don't mind dropping a like on the video, and if you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. We greatly appreciate it. And share this video. Like, share this with your friends who love Bray and like the Wyatt Sicks and love the Wyatt Sicks and love this type of storyline and type of characters. Share it with them. We'd love to have them here to discuss like we do weekly. So, but as always, if you are new to the show, we do start every week with remembering Jodie Gilly, Chris's wife, and our longtime friend and co-host here on this channel. So, Chris, I'm gonna kick it over to you and let you take us through these photos.
Yeah. So that spurred. I'm kind of taking the music segment here and merging it in with memories. The song came out recently from an artist that I wanted to share with you guys, but I have a memory to share off of that. So we're going to kind of combine them this week. So this guy here his name is Sean Rodriguez. He's a Christian artist. It was a year ago on my birthday, actually, that me and Jody went to this concert called Winter Jam that they do every year. It's a whole bunch of different Christian bands and artists and stuff all together in one night. And we were just getting ready to leave, and we were like walking through the lobby and saw him singing. I'm like, that's Sean Rodriguez. Like, we saw him perform earlier that night, and we went up to him and started talking to him. Got a picture with him and stuff. And he just recently came out with a new song, and it's wild. The circle here about that. So he wrote this song about because his aunt passed away, and the song is called Jesus Will. And man, it has really helped me dealing with some of the stuff, losing Jody. And the one line I really like that I pointed out here that's on the screen is so good. You can't go back, you don't know how to move on, but you're still here and he's still God. The story isn't done. And I encourage you guys to go check this song out because it's helped me so much in just dealing with loss and stuff and remembering that that life goes on and that God is in control of everything.
Yeah, thank you for sharing this, Chris, because as soon as you sent it over, I definitely checked it out, and it's a powerful song. So yeah, if you're someone who struggles with the loss of a loved one, I encourage you to go check this song out because it's wow. Like I said, it's powerful. And like I said, Chris, thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah, I thought that was so cool that here a little over a year later after we both met him, he comes out with this song that's helping me now deal with it. So
yeah, man. And I want to do this too. I was gonna do this a little bit differently, but since we're just talking about memories and remembering loved ones lost, we've got a few days
Mhm.
before the 1 year anniversary of Bray's passing. So I'll start with you, Chris, but just, some of your thoughts and memories of Bray and just, what he meant to you as a performer and maybe even beyond that.
Oh, he was the one of the biggest regrets I have is that I never got to meet him. But it's so cool to hear all of Jodie's stories from the times that she did get to meet him, and I can tell just from the things that she said, just what an awesome person he was, and someone that I definitely looked up to and respected. And obviously I was a fan of his ever from the very beginning. From the first time I saw him come into WWE with the Wyatt family, just instantly was hooked and loved everything he ever did. And it made wrestling, just put it on another level for me. He's stuff I'd never seen before. Like we all have talked about, things that he did and stuff just was so unique and stuff. So it's definitely sad to think about that. Coming up, I can't believe it's been a year already. It's
Right.
crazy.
Yeah.
It's been that long already. But yeah, it's I miss him all the time. Wish we could get to see more Firefly Funhouse and stuff like he did, but all the stuff that we're seeing now that's still coming out of it with the Wyatt Sicks, he inspired all of it, and I know that he would be so happy, and I'm sure he is. I'm sure he's seen it and is smiling down on his brother.
Absolutely. Absolutely, man. Joe, same question, man. Just some of your thoughts and memories and just what Bray meant to you.
Oh man, I mean, where do you start? I've said this a lot where I was kind of disenchanted with wrestling overall. And when he was done with the whole thing with Matt Hardy, I kind of took a break. I was like, yeah, I'm a little pissed. I found out that he left, and I was like, we didn't really know why at the time and all the explanations, but I kind of just stopped watching. And when I kept on looking for something, right? I guess so. You go and you read all the things and read the rumors and that kind of stuff, and then all of a sudden, the rumors started to kind of quell and saying that he might be returning, and then we got the Dollhouse stuff, which was I knew the minute I saw that I knew it was him,
Mm-hmm.
and got it. So he got me excited about wrestling again, and I've always been drawn to horror characters. The Undertaker obviously was one of my all-time favorites. Going back to like Papa Shango and guys like that. I've always been Jake the Snake. I've always liked those characters, and Bray just kind of took it to another level. When the whole thing he did with the Fiend and the Funhouse and stuff, I think people really need to know that was just so tremendously different from other things that had been done before. We've seen Mankind in the Boiler Room, right? We saw the Undertaker with the coffin and stuff, but you never saw anything like this, where he's acting out another personality entirely in one place and then becomes a monster in the other. It's like Jekyll and Hyde. And you never saw that in wrestling. So yeah, I loved it all. I couldn't wait to see the next episode every week. Whether it was a Funhouse spot, whether it was just Bray himself when he came out as himself, all of it. I just loved it. And no one, and I know that Bo and the group there are going to do their best, and they are doing really well. But he's just a guy that you don't replace, and you're not going to. I don't know if anyone will take cues from him in the future. I don't know if anyone will be that bold, being honest, or being that creative. As Triple H even talks about how, he'd run ideas past him, and he said he just was going nonstop. And I don't know if we'll ever see anybody like that again, but as far as inspiration goes, I mean, inspired me to get my very first tattoo. I never had one in my entire life. And so, he kind of made wrestling for me what it was. So
That's awesome. That's awesome. I'm gonna read out a couple comments here. Static Marie saying, "I've been dreading this week for this exact reason. Deanna saying doesn't seem like it's been that long already. Yeah, I mean it's wild to think that it's been a year all already. Deanna also saying everything he did was brilliant and eclectic that it made you pay attention. Static Marie saying never got to meet him, and the impact of losing Bray Windham was one of the kinds of grief I never thought I deserved. As a result of all of this, I met some wonderful people. Yeah, that I will say that um, his fan base is just incredible. All the Fireflies are incredible, and I can't tell you how many people reached out on social media and otherwise last year when he passed, and just asked how we were doing. Um, and then you get into a conversation about when you first saw Bray and what it was like for you, and when did you realize that okay, this dude is special. He's different than so many, and yeah, I mean it's wild how much of a family it is, and I got to give a shout out to everyone in our community as well. Everyone banded together. We spoke to one another. If we needed to get some tears out, we did it. Um, but we did it together, and that's what matters. And I couldn't agree more. I've met some wonderful people because of him, and yeah, he was an awesome dude, man. Static Marie also saying I'm grateful for Jodie for definitely bringing me here and treated me as if I was someone so special. I truly miss her. Yeah. And Static Marie, I'm going to tell you something. You're special, and we're here for you. And we agree. We miss her too. So we're here with you and for you. If you ever need to reach out, hit us up. I'm sure any one of us would be willing to chat. All right, so I'm gonna go from remembering two amazing people to going to a passion that they both shared, which is artwork. We're gonna go over some artwork here. We have heavily featured Hurdy Sketch this week, so this is why I put this here. Please send us your artwork. If it's not yours and you see some amazing artwork, screenshot it, send it to us, tell us who it was. We'll give them a shout out. We'll give them credit because we want to see a ton of art. We want to see as much of it as we can. I'd love to get to a point where we have to turn art away or say, you know what, we can't add it for this week's show, but we'll do it on next week. So that's my hope. So artists and fans, please send us in some artwork. We would greatly appreciate it. All right. So now that I have hopefully guilted a few people into sending some artwork for the next couple weeks, I want to get to these. These are pretty dope. Hurdy Sketch always does great work, guys. What do you think?
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, the color, the detail, down to the stitching and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, he's really good at what he does. I mean, then is able to take it and turn it into action figures. That's pretty good stuff. That's pretty good stuff. So yeah, he's really, really good.
I love the creepy smile on Abby's face.
Yeah, that is, yeah. Yep. And the darked out eyes too. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. Even the t-shirt detail on that t-shirt was good too, with the Wyatt Sicks logo on there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right. Here's yeah, this is awesome too.
Classic Bray right there.
Yep.
Got the whole world in his hand.
Yep. Oh wow.
Yeah, this one.
That looks very like comic book style.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
We often said that it would have been cool if someone would have taken that and done like a graphic novel.
Oh yeah.
With the Man in the Woods story, something like that. So, it's funny like that. There aren't any, I don't know, like so many people that know him. Obviously, would have been great to do it. Obviously, Kyle. Like if Kyle ever got the time, I mean, I know he's very busy with the tattoos and stuff, but if he ever got the time, I mean, we know that he's a great artist, man. He can get in touch with like one of the comic, even smaller comic companies there are out there now that not the big ones, but there's a lot of smaller ones out there too. And I'm sure like even Kyle, if he did it and self-published, like he would sell a ton of them. I know he would. So
yeah, I wouldn't have been surprised even if WWE wanted to attach their name to it.
Yeah,
cool thing for them.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
Yeah, it would. It would. It's another good one right there. That one's
yeah.
That was the new. That's the new Fiend, right? That's the one that came after the burned one went away because you could tell with the thinner lines, the wider mouth, the thinner lines on the mask, and then the vest. The jacket that he was wearing was different. So yeah, that's cool. And it's not one you'll see very much because he was only really that one at that WrestleMania in that outfit, and then that was it.
Yep. Yeah, it's amazing. Then we'll end up here.
Looks like a little postcard that they could send to Chad Gable and the guys.
That would be so funny if they showed him opening up a postcard of that. I love that idea.
And have Postman Pierce deliver it.
Yes, there you go.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be great.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Looks like an invitation to something very dark and satanic, doesn't it? Like yeah.
You're invited to your own beatdown.
Right?
Yep.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
That's good stuff. So thank you, Howdy Sketch. Great artwork as always. Yeah, like I said, folks, send us as much as you see. And the worst that we'll tell you is it'll be on the next week. That's the worst that we'll tell you. So
you can send it to insiders. The DMs are always open. So you can send it over there. That's where Howdy sent it to me. So yeah, and the Gmail's there too. So yep.
Yeah, and send it to Chris. I know Chris would be willing to get some of it. I'm putting his X handle down.
Or if you want to, I still check on Jodie's Twitter and stuff too. If anybody wants, I know a lot of people are connected to her, so if you want to send it there too, I'll her DMs, I'll see it. Still check them.
Yeah, there you go. All right, so yeah, send us all the artwork, and we'd love to discuss and showcase your art and let people know about you and all those good things. So all right, so let's get down to it. I want to start with this question, and I'll start with Chris this time. What do you think is wrong with Chad Gable at this point? Like, this guy is just wishing, just bad health to himself in the present and future. So what do you think this guy is doing?
I don't know if he's got just a massive ego or what. Like, he constantly thinks that things are going to turn out differently next time, but I don't know why he would be based on everything that's happened. Yeah, I don't get it. The guy, maybe he has a death wish. I don't know.
Maybe so. Maybe that initial attack just wasn't enough. Maybe him seeing everybody sharing the picture of him looking like he was looking after the attack backstage. I don't know, Joe. What? Maybe you can add some insight to this because I don't get it, man.
It's funny, right? Because when Bray would do the Funhouse, people could look like the wrestlers could look at that and be like, "This is some dude just playing with toys and puppets and all that kind of stuff," and they downplay it. And then the Fiend would be the one that would get them. with these guys, like, so I could, what I'm saying is like, I could excuse Chad Gable if it were like that, because then Chad would be like, they're just a bunch of, they're
Kind of
fooling
like what
around.
the Miz did.
Yeah. Like they're just fooling around with puppets in the back. Who cares? Blah, blah, blah. But you've seen these gigantic men in the ring already. I mean, and they kind of took you apart. It's not like you didn't see that. It's not like you weren't part of it. But I don't know. You know, maybe the Sicks are being too nice. Maybe they need to go even darker with Mr. Gable. I mean, we've seen some antics, right, with Bray backstage and stuff like that. And I don't know, maybe somebody like that didn't learn a lesson. He might just need a little more than a beatdown. So we'll. You know, I don't know. Narcissism, I guess, is the best word for it. Like Deanna said, I don't know. But I can say this. He might be like an all-world athlete, but the brains, not so much.
That makes me wonder if we could see to end this, if they eventually do something to him and get him to the point where he actually does apologize. Like he gets so scared or whatever of whatever they do to him, to where I'm sorry, you know, like apologizes.
Yeah,
could be. Yeah, I could apologize to like his old group there. Yeah.
In the words of many wise people, my granddad used to say this a lot. When you write a check with your mouth, when your mouth writes a check that your behind can't cash, you get other people involved. And that was the case with American Made last night. And I was telling the guys before we started, got to give kudos to Ivy now, because she legit looked like she was in a horror movie. Like, what's going on? Because she was paranoid as all get out. So Joe, what did you think about this? And you know, American Made getting taken out by the Sicks.
Ivy might be turning in her resignation to that American Made very shortly. Yeah, I mean, look, you know, and the thing was, it was cool because she was standing there for a good while. Like she was in the middle of that ring when all the smoke started pouring in and the lights went out and all that kind of stuff happened. And so she was in there for a little bit. And then, you know, all of a sudden Nikki comes in. And so I was kind of excited, thinking, all right, this is kind of cool, because normally, you know, when Nikki would come out, it would be in front of the whole group, but they kind of let her out there a little longer with Ivy. So that's kind of neat, because now that kind of maybe branches. A lot of people are saying, well, when is Nikki going to wrestle? When are we going to see her do something that way? Well, we saw it yesterday. I mean, she was like all over Ivy Nile. And so maybe, I don't know, maybe they'll split this off a little bit. Maybe we'll get not just tag team matches or group matches, but maybe this will split off into a few. I love this. I mean, the whole bunch of them were scared of that. They didn't need anybody else down there. The whole bunch of them were terrified of Nikki. They're all standing there. I mean, look at the looks on their faces. Like the one, I mean, they were all terrified of her. And I mean, look at who wouldn't be. That picture before with the smile on her face. Yeah, I would have that grimace on my face too. So it's cool. It's very interesting now how they seem to be getting more people involved. Nikki not just being a messenger, not just being the one to. And I love all this stuff. Like, you know, now Michael Cole calling her Nikki Cross, but then on the video, it's Sister Abigail. So they are definitely pushing that. You know, it wasn't a mistake. It wasn't, you know, a misread or anything like that. But yeah, man, I dig it. And yeah, kudos to Ivy, because she's new to it. And like Jeff said, yeah, she did. She looked like she had the look on her face like a final girl in a horror movie. Like a Jamie Lee Curtis when she sees Michael Myers for the first time. So yeah, it was she did really good.
Yeah, she really did. Chris, man, what'd you think about this, and what'd you think once the rest of the Sicks got into the ring?
Yeah, I thought it was great. Like you said, I love this moment to where they were all terrified of just her before the rest of the Sicks even showed up. I thought that was really cool the way they did that. And I definitely think that that they were that they're setting up a match at some point between Nikki and Ivy Nile. I think that's gonna be awesome. I think that Ivy Nile has definitely got a date with Sister Abigail at some point.
Yeah. Yeah, and honestly, man, it was a total domination, and Chad Gable looked like he could have been he could be sponsored by an adult diaper company, Will say. Uh, because he had a few looks like right here. He's like, oh,
It's crazy how scary they look even without the masks.
yeah,
it is.
Like you look at that right there. If you're surrounded by those dudes, that's scary enough, even without the masks.
Loomis has like almost a Charles Manson-esque look to him with that X on his head.
Yeah, I think he might be the scariest looking one.
He is like a total turnaround from how we saw him and how he looked before. Like he probably is. Like Rowan's just intimidating because of how huge he is. Yeah. And Joe Gacy, has got that backwoods-ish kind of Bray, the old Wyatt family look, but man, Loomis is terrifying, dude.
Yeah, Loomis has got serial killer vibes.
Yeah, he does.
I was just gonna say that Chad Gable has this look on his face, and he didn't even see what was behind him yet.
Mm-hmm.
That's when that's when at that point it's no longer can I hold it. It's like, okay, let me get out of here before people realize that it already happened. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, this was awesome. I really enjoyed the beatdown, honestly. So, what stood out to you in terms of how they did this from kind of let me ask this. When did you realize that we were going to get them last night? And then what stood out to you about the whole thing? And we'll start with Joe this time.
The minute Chad Gable opened his mouth and mentioned them, I knew they were coming out. I knew, especially when I heard that they were going to have a match. I'm like, yeah. And there's no doubt that they're not going to wait. They're going to come out. And so I wasn't surprised at all. I was expecting it. I was waiting for it, and sure enough, we got it. But the execution of it again is all about the execution, and they started it off differently. So it was only Nikki that came down. There wasn't anyone else right off the bat. So it started that way. And then, if I'm not mistaken, or I don't know, maybe I was imagining this, but didn't the others come from a different part of the arena? That I could swear that I was seeing that some of them came from the sides, or maybe that was just because of the smoke and they came up on the other side of the wrestling ring. It could have been, but that's the whole thing. It's like, yes, it's similar, right? But it's also very different. And they're gonna make this. They're gonna do these little tiny nuances, these little tiny things that are gonna make this different every time it happens. And that's what they're doing. And we'll talk more about the other little differences we got in this, but yeah, I thought, Chad opened his mouth and I'm like, boy, are you like Chris said before, man, what are you thinking? Like, what are you thinking? Like you let that dog lie, man. A lot of people were kind of assuming that they were done with Gable. So you let that sleeping dog lie, man. You don't wake that up and keep on moving and keep on going. But obviously, Chad, glutton for punishment, wanted more, and his little team is gonna suffer for it. So,
yeah. Chris, same questions, man.
I thought it was very well done. Like I said, I loved how it wasn't all of them at once. I like how Nikki was a little bit separate from them. I think that kind of helped build that vibe and that tease for a match between just them two. I figured that was going to happen last week when she attacked Maxine Dupree, and then they announced the match. I'm like, oh yeah, Ivy Nile just messed up, just like the crowd was chanting.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, I never did see. I couldn't tell where they were coming from either, and I thought it was interesting that I never did see them. Did they ever have the masks on and then take them off, or did they just come out without the mask? I never saw the mask. All I saw was them jump up on the apron and without the masks on. So I'm not sure about that, but yeah, that was good. And then I love that. And then there was the cool shock of seeing the different Howdy masks behind in there too. It was awesome.
Yeah, that was really cool. And So we got this moment here. Howdy finally got his hands on him. So here's the question. What do you think of this match being on Raw next week, Chris? Now I'll ask Joe the same thing because I want to get your take on it and what you think can happen following that match.
I love it. I'm not disappointed at all. I thought that this may be a pay-per-view match, but it doesn't bother me at all that it's on Raw, especially after the match we saw before with them. And I think that Raw is a good place for them. This vibe of the stuff they're doing fits really well on Raw. So I think it's a good place for it. And I think it leaves them room that maybe there might be shenanigans in this match, and maybe we'll end up getting either a match between Howdy and Gable at Bash in Berlin, or maybe even another 6-man match or something like that, or maybe even a full-on 8-person with Nikki and Ivy Nile in it. Who knows? But I think that definitely could be why they're doing it on Raw, to lead into something more at the pay-per-view. And then also there's, the fact that it's 2 days after the anniversary of Bray passing too, might have something to do with it. So
yeah,
I like that it leaves them open and room to do more.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Joe, before I get to you, I just want to read Deanna's question. And Mark, I'm going to get to your question. Deanna's comment, I'm sorry. She says, Raw, they are the highlight. PLE would only be a moment.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a good point too.
Yeah.
Joe, what are your thoughts, man, on this match happening on Raw next week?
Again, this is where they're based. They're not going to SmackDown, so you're not going to see them on SmackDown. They're a Raw, attraction. So people now that they know, look, I know that if Raw comes here, I'm going because I like Chris said earlier. My regrets, number one, not being able to meet Bray, and number two, not being able to ever see him live or that opening that he had, the entrance that he had for The Fiend. So many people, Tazzy, I know, was lucky enough to see it when he went to the Hell in the Cell and that kind of thing. I never saw that. So I know that I will be there. I'm fine with them keeping things on Raw. Look, eventually this will lead to a pay-per-view. My guess is they could keep this going right up through Survivor Series if they want to. And they could have their group versus the Wyatt group in one of those matches. They could definitely do that and keep that going all the way up until then if they want to. I'm all right if they want to skip the look. Maybe the other things might be there could be all kind of reasons for it. There could be all kind of reasons for it. That a lot of these pay-per-views are overseas. They're going to other countries and stuff like that. And you don't know. Like horror can be a tricky thing in foreign countries. Sometimes you got to be a little careful because they have different rules and stuff like that to things like that. So I don't know. I'm fine with it. I don't need it to be. And look, the fact that we're getting it on Raw means that you don't have to wait for a pay-per-view. A lot of times, like with Bray's Fiend matches, you had to wait for a big, huge event because that's what he was. So you weren't getting this stuff you weren't getting a lot of the matches week by week and stuff on TV. That was what the Funhouse was for all the buildup. But you didn't get them until the bigger pay-per-views. So now we can have matches almost any single Monday night if they decide to do that. And I'm fine with it. And I saw Deanna's comment about Bo being jacked, and yes, he is. He's definitely been working out, man. And that's a different look for him too, because he would always be out there with the jacket. So now no jacket's got a new mask, and Chris mentioned earlier the mask is probably something that he's going to be able to wrestle in. So yeah, like I said, it's gonna be a lot of
to wrestle in if he does.
It is. There's going to be a lot of back and forth with this. And next week, like I said, I would be very shocked that if Bo doesn't get, beat down a little bit, that they doesn't come out with the rest of them, and then they gang up on him, and then the rest of them come out and stuff like that. And then that leads to even more. But I'm fine at being on Raw. I think it's fine.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's, again, they're the highlight on Raw. And that's saying a lot because there are a lot of bright spots on Raw.
Yeah, there are.
I mean, there are a lot of great people that could be very fitting in that spotlight. But right now, people are waiting to see what the Wyatt Sicks are going to do.
Jeff, I'll tell you, I like this stuff going on now, but I already know who I want them to go after next, man. I already know that new Judgment Day needs a beating in a bad way.
Yes.
So I want them to go. I want that. I was thinking, the Usos and stuff. I want that new Judgment Day to get it next because then Finn Balor's in there. You got Liv Morgan, of course, with Nikki, and that's who I want them to go after next.
And does that bring the Demon back?
Oh, I think so.
That would be amazing, man.
That would be amazing.
Mind blowing. Yep.
That would be awesome.
I could definitely see that too because we all always wanted that Fiend Demon match that never happened.
Yeah.
So maybe this could be a kind of a way to have it happen with Howdy versus the Demon.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be awesome. I would love that.
Yep.
Mark says, question to all three of you. You know that factions have enforcers in the group, like the new Bloodline does. Could Loomis be the enforcer in the Wyatt Sicks because he looked the part? We'll start with Joe and then go to Chris.
Sure. I would more looking at them from a stature standpoint. I would say an enforcer would be Rowan, just because of his size. He's that, when you looked at Gable and he was just kind of looking up at Rowan. Rowan's just huge. Usually an enforcer is huge, but that's the thing. Like any of them really could be anything at any moment. Gacy could be an enforcer at any moment. They're all just intimidating figures. So really any of them could be. But yeah, Loomis to me comes off more, again, I compared him to Manson. He comes off more like a criminal mastermind, like the guy that's going to just outthink you, the guy that's just going to, he's going to beat you up, but he's going to do things that you're not going to expect. He's going to have moves that you're not going to expect in the ring. So that's what he comes off to me as. But yeah, I mean, to answer your question, sure, any of them could be.
Yeah. And Chris, after you, I want to get a Clown's comment because I like that too. But yeah, same question to you, Chris. Do you think Loomis could be the enforcer in the Wyatt Sicks?
I actually kind of see Loomis and Gacy together being the enforcers. We've already seen a lot of vibes of them. It looks like they could potentially be a tag team together. I feel like they look good together and work well together. So I could kind of see both of them. Rowan is kind of a little more, standoffish now. He's not, he's getting up there. He's not doing so much stuff. I can see him just kind of standing back there and letting them two have at whoever is trying to cause trouble.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say, Mark, for me, a group like this kind of breaks your traditional faction norms when it comes to different roles in the group. I think a group like this, and it's pretty unprecedented, but if you think about the previous Wyatt family, everyone was menacing. I think that they can serve as enforcers for one another. So whenever one's in trouble, you're going to get the group. You're going to get them, coming down and doing what they do. So I think that's the beauty of a group like this, is that you don't necessarily have to fit into those faction norms. But it's really cool to see, because I mean, I'll go ahead and say from a personal standpoint, if I were walking down an alley and I turned around and I caught a glimpse of Dexter Loomis, I'm not saying that I would beat Noah Lyles, but I'd be on his tail in the 100. That's moving for a big guy like me. I'm just saying. What's up, Felicia? Yeah, so Clown has a great comment. We'll start with Joe on his thoughts on this one. Clown says, if the final testament indeed causes Xavier Woods to leave New Day, I want the Wyatts to go after them. Your thoughts on the Wyatt Sicks going after the final testament?
Yeah, I mean, how many times did Jodie on this program talk about Bray going after Karrion Kross?
Karrion Kross, yeah.
Yep.
I mean, Yeah, look, any of it fits, right? If it's a broken family, any of it fits. It could be any of that, and that's what we said makes it so interesting, because they could really target anybody. Because it happens all the time. Wrestling, like families, partners, everything splits up in every other week, on wrestling. So, yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting to see. The only the size of the Final Testament with Razor and who's the other one? I forget the other one's name. Akam. Yeah, they're just huge dudes. So it would be a little bit of a size mismatch there, I think, because if they were going to go up against Gacy and Loomis, that the size would be tough. Now, small men in wrestling can overcome big men. I mean, they're usually just quicker, a little bit smarter, and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, I could see it. I could see that happening. Sure, once they're done with what they're doing here, and depending on how much they want to continue this, yeah, I mean, sure, I could see it. If they break up families, then they're automatically a target.
Yeah, I agree, and I also agree with the fact that they need to go after that new Judgment Day, because man, is it fun seeing JD McDonough just get it handed to him.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
So I wanted to end this part of everything with this question: how do you think Nikki will be involved? I know both of you said you think this is leading to a match between her and Ivy Nile. Chris, when do you think that happens, and what do you think we get leading up to that brings us to that point?
I'm guessing could be even potentially, the Raw after next, since we're getting the Howdy match next week. Maybe the week after we get a match between them two. I'm guessing we're going to see some kind of interaction between them two during that match. Maybe American Made comes down, gets involved and stuff, and then Ivy Nile will be with them, obviously. So maybe Nikki comes to get some, keep her out of it, and just to further that. What I'm guessing.
Joe, what do you think about this?
Here's an off the wall thought, but I would love this. Everybody's asking for pay-per-view. What if that match was their first one on a pay-per-view between those two, instead of the actual 6 being there, and they have the women go out there? I think that'd be pretty awesome, because that would show that, all right, we're doing things different. We're not just it's not just gonna be Howdy and the guys. We're gonna do this a little different. And let's just say Ivy Nile would come down and say, hey, I'm challenging you to a match at the pay-per-view. I would love that, because now obviously they'd have her back, and they would be not far behind. But I think that would be cool. There's so many things that you could do with Nikki. So many. I can't wait till the first time that she takes that mask off, and you're going to see some gruesome face paint on her face, because she's not showing her face. So I would like to see that. Look, Nikki's I love Nikki even before this. I was the one campaigning. Jeff, you remember this. I was campaigning for her to join that faction when everybody kept saying, no, it's got to be Alexa. No, it's got to be Alexa. I'm like, Nikki belongs in this. Yeah. And Nikki's great, man. She's a great, people forget, I think, how good of a wrestler she is. And so I would love to see that. I don't think they'll do it, but I'd love to see them go outside the box and be like, all right, here's our first match. People will be confused by it for sure. They'll be like, wow, really? They're going to do that? But I think that'd be cool. I don't know that Ivy and Nikki would, let's say, earn a spot on a pay-per-view card, because they're very limited. You have like 5-6 matches, and they're usually very highbrow matches, like really high up the ladder. So I don't know that they'd get a spot on a card like that, but I don't know. I think that would just be cool to see.
It's possible, because I don't think there is a singles female match on the card right now. There's the mixed tag match, but
yeah, no, I think you're right. I don't think there is.
Yeah, I think can you I wonder what she does for a solo entrance.
Yeah, that would be really interesting to see. Maybe she walks backwards to the
I knew it was coming. Listen, Eric. So I'm looking at. All right, we got. I want to look at the calendar really quickly here, fast. So October Halloween is on a Thursday. So the Monday before Halloween, I think, is the date that I'm screwed. That's the 28th, and I think that's the day that I'm screwed, because that is absolutely going to happen. That's absolutely going to happen. And it seems like it gets closer and closer every single week. She did that little crawl in thing and then stared up at Chad. Yeah, it's
one of these times we'll just be back in the corner backwards.
I'll tell you, if it doesn't happen this year, I know when they're gonna start maybe doing some of this kind of stuff and taking it to another level is when they go to Netflix.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because all the gloves are off.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't need to worry about anything about scaring children or any of that kind of stuff. They can go full on all out. And if Nikki wants to come out and start like having some black liquid coming out of her mouth, like a lot of women that are like her in horror movies do, that they can do that. And so, if I'm saved until that time, I think then I'm probably pretty much done on the first Netflix episode, because they're doing something with these guys on that episode.
Oh yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, for sure. Alicia says, with Survivor Series approaching and Team Raw and Team SmackDown, how about Wyatt Sicks versus the Bloodline 2.0?
I think it's too soon for that. I'm sure it's going to happen at some point. Triple H has already teased it. That's going to happen down the road, but I think they've got to get through this stuff with Roman and the old Bloodline versus New Bloodline first. But maybe next year, I think we could definitely see that at some point.
Yeah. Joe, what do you think about that?
Yeah, same here. I think that they've got so much going on with that, with the Roman thing and everything like that, and look, they now have the belts, right? They now have the tag team belts. So maybe as we were talking about with Loomis and Gacy, maybe when they get going in that tag team division and this gets off of this feud with Chad and his group, somewhere down the line, that would certainly be. And who knows? I think that the Bloodline's going to hold on to those tag titles for a while. I do. And so, yeah, that could definitely be something down the line. But I don't think it's the right time for it right now. I think we'd be rushing it a little bit. But yeah, for sure. I mean, that would be a hell of a fight.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Chris. Go ahead.
I was going to say I feel like that's the key thing that you said there, Joe. Like, I love this pacing. I don't want anything to be rushed.
Yep.
Let them cook.
Yeah.
Let them play it out.
Yeah.
I
think the way to do it without involving story, which is hard to do with this, is if Triple H came out and said the Raw GM is going to get to select the team of his choice, and that's going to that team's going to represent Team Raw, and then same for SmackDown. I mean, that could happen, but I think there's so much story there that I almost don't want to see it happen until it absolutely positively has to.
Right.
Because oh my goodness, the things that they could do. I mean, you've got Roman by himself is a whole thing.
Yeah.
And then if you want to go after his family, then there's obviously a lot of different places they could go.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I'm thinking for Nikki, you got Nia Jax, you've got Naomi. I mean, you've got some folks that she could go after. Jeremy asking a very wise question: what if Nikki is the enforcer of the Wyatt? You know what? I think she might be. If there is
scare everyone off so they don't even want to mess with them.
Yeah.
I mean, look at her character, right? Her character is Abigail. Abigail is the one whose Bray story is all centered around, all of them. Mm-hmm. So you can tell she's important. I mean, look at Howdy sits in the chair. She's right in front of him when he was sitting out there. So she's got a, she was and look, even in the funhouse, the puppet she was the leader in there. She was the one who no one wanted to mess with. None of the other puppets wanted to mess with Abby.
Bray a lot of times was scared of her. Like, don't wake Abby up.
Yeah. So that's, I certainly think that, absolutely. Could that be the case? Sure. I think that, I certainly believe that she's obviously playing that character. Everybody's mentioning it now. So there's no question about it. Yeah, she certainly could be.
Yeah. I'll tell you this, if I saw her, I'd run.
Yeah.
Being honest,
I don't know if I'd make it to run. I'd probably pass out prior. What's funny to me, like when we're thinking back on this now, and I know we live week by week with this stuff, but when you think back on this, right? When Nikki's home was invaded in that, you go back to that, right? When he was collecting all of these people prior, and when her home was invaded, it's almost like you'd like to go back and see a movie of that. I want to, what happened there? Like what, and you could, of course, you're going to be imagining it in your head and thinking about it in your head. But like when you think about a horror film, right? What was the thing that got Abby's spirit and like possessing her body? Like, how did that take place? It's cool to think about. And when you remember all that stuff. So, but yeah, it just makes the story all that much cooler. When you go back and you imagine how some of that stuff went down.
Well, Joe, they are going to Netflix. They want to bring in casual fans.
Mm-hmm.
Could you imagine it like a series? I mean, we've talked about it here before, but could you imagine a series of their story?
Oh, I'm really hoping that something comes about like that on Netflix.
Yeah.
You could totally do some kind of a spin-off series or something with it for sure.
Yep. They've got the backstory for sure.
Yeah.
They have the backstory. Someone came up with all that. Like all the writers, whoever, Bo combined, whoever it was, someone came up with all that. Thinking about when you were seeing them outside of the house, and then they get into the house, and then Howdy's in the hallway. So that it's there. They just have to add a little bit of between the lines. So why not? Netflix would be down for that. They know it's going to make money.
Yep.
So,
yep. And it'll give you kind of it'll hold you over until the next season of Stranger Things comes out.
Right.
Because honestly, I'm waiting on it. All right. So the last part of the show, I wanted to go through these photos because they're probably the closest photos we've had of the mask. And I just want to go through each of these. So I'm going to start here.
Yeah, shout out to C Wrestling for this. Yep. It's one of his things you might have missed.
Yeah, that shot, man. Like there's so much detail.
The red circle is the first thing that caught my mind with that.
Mm-hmm.
The red circle around the mouth. But the fact that he's wearing a gas mask, creepy. I like it. The sewing on it. Very, very Texas Chainsaw-ish look to it. The beard, and of course, you could see the beard outside of the mask, and then him holding his head. That's very Bray-esque with the holding the side of his head like he's in pain, or and that's. I mean, seeing it up close, it's some scary stuff, and yes, WWE creators right now are hard at work right now in their mask shops, making these for each and every one of you. You just know that. So
get your credit cards ready.
They have to be up 100%.
And they even got you covered so much that they'll let you split it up into several payments.
Oh yes, they will.
They can get you. So
get all six and get a big discount, and oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Let's go to the detail on this one, Chris.
Wow. Yeah, it's so awesome. I just blew my mind when I saw these last night on there. Just, we've never, we've not really gotten to see any, nothing close up like this or in this much detail. So I thought that was so awesome.
Let me do this. Look at that.
I love how you can see like there's like the skin is peeled back around the teeth and stuff. Like,
look in the middle between his eyes. Does that not look like a top hat, or am I seeing things? Is that Howdy's? Is that Howdy's hat?
Oh yeah, it does kind of
There's a mask over it, like over the eyes. It looks like where you see the top hat, and then there's like a mask over the eyes. It looks like you can see little eyes.
Yeah, like there's it's like where the bridge of the nose is.
Yeah.
So between the two eye sockets, I noticed it right away. I looked right at it. It looks like a freaking top hat. I'm like, yeah, that's genius. That's genius if they did that, because if that's supposed to be Howdy's hat, that's genius. Look at Jason Baker, man. Just his team just kills it. Yeah, I mean, look at the liquid. Like that looks like liquid from the eyes a little bit.
Yeah,
and
the like black tears almost or something.
Yep. And the mouth, the what looks like liquid inside of the mouth and stuff, and on the teeth and everything too. Yeah, insane detail. Insane.
Oh, and he even has a red braid in the dreads too.
Yep. And you know and if that top hat's not Howdy's, that could be another callback to Bray when he was the Mad Hatter in the Funhouse. So all these little tiny details and touches of all this stuff that's tributizing Bray, like that's insane. Like it's crazy.
I love this one.
Yeah.
You know what I think? You know what I think of when I see this one, Jeff? You'd probably remember the movie Twilight Zone, the movie.
Oh yeah.
With that big, terrifying freaking bunny that came out of the television with that. Yep. But I mean, look at this. The eyes are stapled. You can see the eyes are like stapled. The eyelids look like they're stapled open up in the back, and then
like red. I mean, I know it looks like it's stapled open, but it looks like the red circle.
Yeah, it does. Yeah,
peeled back like that.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. I mean, this is the whenever you see the little kids screaming because they don't want to visit the Easter Bunny in the malls and stuff, this is what they're seeing.
Yep.
This is what they're thinking of when they're saying, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's look at that.
Oh boy.
That is scary.
That's ring-like.
Yes.
Without a doubt. That is what is it called? Juon in Japan. This is the kind of thing that just ruins me here. In case you're wondering why I don't like possession movies, well, here you go. This is the black everywhere. You can't even see that she's got eyes. There's you can't even see like there, and then you have that little cracks and lines like all over the top. I mean,
like a porcelain doll that is messed up.
Yep. Absolutely. And it looks on the side like black tears coming down. I know that could probably be her hair as well, but it literally looks like, oh man, yeah. Yep.
Let's look at this one, and I do want to answer your question, Jeremy. Let's go through this the last couple, and then we'll get to that.
The Bray glove, man.
So much.
The Bray glove. I mean, people are doubting that.
I still have the Hurt and Heel gloves. If they sell the Bray one, I'm definitely buying it.
I'm sure they will. Yeah, I'm sure they will. But yeah, that's everybody was saying, "Oh, I'm not sure that was Bray." Well, it clearly is. Yeah, and so, the top hat and the tip of the cap. Yep. And yeah, this one I love, man. It looks like jade. It almost looks like a jade color, like a green color. And I don't know, like we were saying earlier, maybe this is the actual mask he could wrestle with if he chooses to wrestle with a mask. Who knows? Jason does great work. Look, I mean, he did the great stuff for the Fiend and stuff like that, where he was able to wrestle in the mask. So I don't know.
I just love the pencil thin mustache too. It's not such a nice little touch.
Yeah.
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 Man. Yeah. So that, I mean, wow. Right.
Amazing work.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
It's so cool how you can see his eyes in that too, and
Mhm.
see Bo behind the mask.
Yeah. And like you said, Chris, shout out to C Wrestling
Mhm.
for putting this in his video. And yeah, man, this is pretty darn cool. So I did want to get to Jeremy's question. Jeremy asked, "Who is going to be Uncle Harper?" So I'll start with Chris, and then we'll go to Joe. Who do you think will be Uncle Harper?
I think it's got to be Rowan. To me, is the one that makes the most sense. The fact that maybe he could flip around the mask and wear the Brody mask that he has on the back or something. I don't know, or maybe something else entirely. But he's the one that makes the most sense because he had the closest relationship with Brody.
Yeah. Joe, what do you think, man?
Yeah, I don't think we're going to get any other characters. I really don't. I'm standing pretty firmly behind that. I don't think that. I think what they have now is what they're going to have. I really don't agree with the theories about Alexa. I've said that before,
No.
and I don't agree that they're going to bring in an Uncle Harper character. I think that if he's there, he's already there. And so who knows? You know, we've had little teases from Gacy, right? Saying that he was the man in the woods thing, and saying all these little cryptic little things. So maybe he changes at some point. But I like Chris's theory better. He is the closest to him, and that would make the most sense. He does seem with his mask that he could have dual personalities. And maybe we just didn't see that to come to fruition yet. But that would make the most sense to me. I really think that if you're thinking there's going to be more added to this group, I think you're going to be a little bit let down because I really believe that this is where they're at. I think that this is where it's going to stay.
I completely agree. And I've seen so many people say that they don't think that Bray is the sixth member in the Lantern. I totally disagree with that. It makes too much sense for it to be. They're making him a focal point around the Lantern and stuff. And the whole thing is to honor him. So, of course, he's going to be part of it. And that's to me, that's the best way to do it. They've got their six. And, yeah, I don't think there's going to be anybody else.
Yeah, I agree.
I think, if anything, you may see some of the names that folks are mentioning as wanting them to be a part of this, maybe targets.
That's very true. Yep, I agree. Eventually, it'll happen. You know that Braun is going to be a target more than likely. Because of the swamp thing the last time he met Bray. You know that Alexa for sure because of what she did to Bray at Mania and all that stuff. So absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So another great discussion. I had a lot to talk about. So we'll wrap up here. Final thoughts, Joe, on where you think we go next, and just any thoughts that you have for the folks out there.
Week by week by week. No need to rush anything. Just go with it. Just know that we're getting for sure next week. It's going to be Bo's first match, which is exciting. Out there as Howdy and Gable. And so, but if I were you guys, I probably would expect that, that he's going to have a run in. There might be two run-ins. It'll probably be a run-in first on Gable's side. They'll beat up Howdy a little bit. And then, of course, Howdy will probably sit there and laugh again at them like he did the last time. And then the rest of his group will come down. And then we'll see where that goes. But week by week. And just sit back and enjoy it. Because like we started this show with, right, with the tribute, the famous words, you don't know what you've got till it's gone. And now, back about almost a year ago, the last thing we were ever thinking on any of our minds was that we're ever going to see this again, and we are. So we're very blessed to be seeing it, and so yeah, I'm just taking it week by week and enjoying every bit of it.
Yep, I completely agree. All right, Chris.
I am super excited for next week. Just like I was for the 6-man match, I can't wait for this Howdy match. It's gonna be awesome. I'm so looking forward to it. I've been waiting. Obviously when this whole thing started, we knew they'd be getting in the ring at some point, and one of the ones I was definitely probably the most excited for was to see Howdy in the ring. They said last night this is going to be Bo's first match in WWE since 2019. So
it's crazy.
Yeah, I know. So it's definitely cool to get. We're gonna get to see that finally.
Yeah, it's gonna be great next week, and guess what?
We'll have a lot to talk about.
We'll be here to talk about it next Tuesday at 6. So thank you all so much for joining us. NXT, go watch it this evening. Hey Jesse, how are you? But yeah, go watch NXT tonight, and then Raw next Monday. So when we come back here on Tuesday, you can discuss things with us. So I actually remembered this time. So if you're here right now and you're watching, please drop a like on the video. And if you're new to the channel, first off, we want to say welcome. Thank you for joining us. And please consider hitting that subscribe button if you don't mind. We would greatly appreciate it. Jesse, it's all good. Just leave us some comments on under the video. And did anyone get any video of you while you were medicated? We'll say.
Those are always fun.
Yeah, those are always fun. Always fun. So yeah. But no, I hope you feel better soon. I know that wisdom teeth can be painful, bothersome. So get some rest, and if you do have any video, I hope to see it on social media. I'll just go like that.
Join us on Thursday too for TNA, guys. It's been amazing every single Thursday. And so much going on there, and that's when we'll be back. TNA on Thursday at 8 p.m. And then we're done for the weekend because there's a big pay-per-view for AEW coming.
Yeah, we'll be done for the weekend. But like I said, we'll be back after that next Tuesday. Like Joe said, TNA just absolutely knocking it out of the park every single week.
Yep.
Again, I think I throw this challenge out to people. If you've never seen it before, give it a month. Give it 4 shows, and I feel pretty confident that you will continue watching after those 4 weeks. So we'll leave that there. Hopefully you all join us on Thursday. But yeah, so Chris, Joe, thank you both so much. Great conversation as always. Thank all of you in the chat for giving us, your comments, sending in questions, everything. We greatly appreciate that. So yeah, we're heading out. Like I said, watch NXT because that's another show that's been really good lately too. So check it out. So all right, folks, we will see you next time. Thank you for joining us. Have a safe rest of your week if we don't see you, and be kind to one another. All right, see you later.